And we need to get educated, and we need to understand that I think we're going to see the effects of this 10 and 20 years down the road, of this generation today that is smoking marijuana. You know, it may not be obvious today, but I think we're going to see it later on. And it's not going to be pretty. So that's about all I have, folks. Okay, there are a lot of questions, folks. I do want to just take 5 more minutes or so. I know everyone's probably got to get back to work and stuff. So how about the officer here?
Just to let you know, Dade County, Miami-Dade Police Department, we teach a drug program in the public schools. We started 5th grade. This past year, we used to have 25 officers teach the program. We only have 10 now. We only address maybe 50% of the schools now. Those were wanting. Some schools, unfortunately, don't get it. Right. A lot of schools don't get it. And we started in 5th grade, like I said. We talked about the same thing you just talked about to the kids. And
that's really important. We got to do all these things. You know, every little bit counts towards addressing this problem. How about right here?
What about random drug testing from parents?
What about random drug testing from parents? Well, I'm not
that's sort of in the same arena as that, and the parents, you know, and if the kids have that also as a parent.
Well, I'm not one to say to you, everybody here in this room, go home tonight and drug test your kids. You know, I don't think that's necessary. I think if you suspect there's a problem and you see the signs, and I've passed around one of the handouts is about recognizing the signs. If you have that suspicion, if you see evidence, if you see signs of drug use, absolutely use drug testing. I think it's an incredibly underutilized tool for parents.
Well, I mean, I had a friend who suggested to her son, and I liked that idea because kids also, they don't have the tools to combat these kids that are putting it in their face and you know, and saying things and drawing them into that.
Right.
And if they have some kind of tool like, well, I can't, my parents randomly drug test me once a month or occasionally, you know.
Sometimes kids like that out.
Even if you don't, they need an out, it will help.
Whatever
you know,
works.
I don't know,
Whatever
but
works.
I just wanted to know.
Absolutely, yes.
How do we handle the social, I'm not going to say the social pressure, but for example, the friends out there, so that you cannot take them away from anybody.
No.
You cannot sometimes contact or have other parents in the same, you know, I mean, I imagine.
The same
you know,
thinking, that's true.
So, if you're too strict, it's one thing, and then they use that as an escape for doing things. If you find out something that they're doing, or you find out, like, you know, it's going a lot in the school, and then you start out, you're paranoid, but you need to help them choose their friends, but at this point they are too old, you know, and to do that, and you don't want to take them away from, you know, everyone, but you can, you know.
Right. You know, I think
what works in their
with
brain
parenting, and I think this is true for all parenting, no extremes, right? It's about finding a balance. You can be too permissive and you can be too strict, and so it's about finding a balance. And so it's about knowing your child. It's about having that open communication and that dialogue so they feel safe to talk to you. It's about being able to set appropriate limits and be clear about drug use. You know, parenting is a lot of gray areas, but I believe that when it comes to drug use, it's black and white. There's not a lot of gray on this issue. And so you send the message, you do the best you can, you talk to them, you create a safe environment, you teach them, you educate them, and then you pray.
Well, let me say something on that too. At that point, when they're going through that, they are rolling their eyes, they are telling you you are out of it. Now, that's where you've got to be strong enough to let them get through this, because if they get through to 21, people rarely become addicted after that age.
70% less chance if you make it to 21.
You've just got to decide that you're going to let them eye roll and throw fits on the floor and tell you that, you know, I'll never be popular, everybody will hate me. That's what they told my husband. They called him the tyrant. You know, when my girls went away to college, you know who came to visit my husband? The boyfriends and the boys. Kids today are looking for us to stand up and tell them what's right and what's wrong. And we just sort of don't do this. Been to restaurants lately? I was in one the other day. There are 2 4-year-olds terrorizing the whole place. The mother just looks beautiful and wonderful. and nobody says anything. Come on, guys. If we've got, and I didn't say anything either, so it's not me, because I should have said, hey, the kids could have been hurt. We're all afraid to speak up. I grant you that. But we've got to do it.
But if we can, we should do it.
Yeah, we should. I'm going back there and find that woman. I should have
The
said.
other officer.
What I wanted to mention was, on the first part, I think a lot of parents are jumping on the ball a little late, because we teach fifth graders. When we go into the classroom, especially marijuana, when we speak to our kids about marijuana, they know what they've learned on their own, okay? Whether it be through music, through the internet, through whatever they figured out, they've already had a pretty good idea of whether they want to try this in the future or not.
Right.
And most parents have never spoken to their kids at that point about narcotics use, about anything like that.
Right.
And usually these kids are coming to us for answers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And I mean, we got kids that are talking about, they're not even talking about smoking marijuana, they're talking about vaporizers. They're using vaporizers to be able to inhale this stuff. Okay? I mean, if it's coming from a 10 and 11-year-old, that's scary. Because they're letting this kid go on the internet, do all this information, and they're not being checked. Plus, music talks about it all the time.
Right.
Okay, especially hip-hop music. Okay? And so they're being exposed to that, and we're not just talking to our kids at all. And we're just letting them play whatever they want to do.
And if they don't get the information from us, they're going to get
find
it
out on
from
their own.
And they're going to get it from their friends who have all the misconceptions we've talked about, or from the internet, from all the pro-marijuana sites.